more understandable. The first question, why did Hermon and the author slam the doors? Why did Hermon and the author is Mr. Grover, slam the doors, shut the doors forcibly? That is slamming. The answer is the mysterious sound of steps. The strange sound of steps going around the dining room table created fear in them. They got frightened. Also, very soon, the sound of steps started up the stairs, okay, towards them. They were just there on the first floor, and the sound actually first it was heard on the ground floor. Now they started the sound approaching them to the first floor. Sound of steps started up the stairs towards them. Hence, they wanted to escape from the ghost, probable ghost. So they slammed the doors. First, Hermon entered the room and slammed, whereas Grover, the author, did not join Hermon into his room, but he just stood on the first floor against the staircase door on the first floor. Just slammed it and stood beside it as a support, as a stumbling block. Second question, what do you understand by the mother's act of throwing the shoe? She just threw the shoe. She must be hysterical. She must be emotional, okay, and reckless, without thoughtless lady, reckless, without any courtesy, without any human courtesy for her neighbor, that is Mrs. Bodwell, Mr. Bodwell. Why do you think Mrs. Bodwell wanted to sell the house? The reason is Mr. Bodwell used to have mild attacks. In your book, the word attack is in between single inverted commas. That may mean anything, attack, heart attack, or ghost attack, like that. Bodwell used to have mild attacks, and attack may also mean this lady, actually Grover's mother, a hysterical lady. She has been giving a lot of trouble to this lady, that is Mrs. Bodwell. This attack may mean that also. Also, the noisy and mannerless behavior of Grover's mother might have prompted Bodwell's to shift from the present house or to different town itself. So that is a provocation, a kind of provocation. Grover's mother might have prompted Bodwell. In this story, we find an example rather. That is when there is no telephone, and when Hermon and Grover say that possibly burglars, this lady actually reacted without second thought. He flung a shoe at the neighbor's glass door and broke it. This is a reckless behavior, thoughtless behavior, irresponsible behavior, indecent behavior, no etiquette at all. So with this kind of behavior, how can a neighboring house, actually neighbor, can dwell? Okay, therefore that might be the reason why Mrs. Bodwell wanted to sell the house and shift to a different house. Fourth question, how did the police manage to enter the house? Police, they have got their own way of entering, their own way of inquiring, their own way of behaving. The cops put their shoulders to the big heavy front glass door. The original line just shifted from the text. The cops put their shoulders, big broad shoulders, to the big heavy front glass door, broke it in and managed to enter. They might have patiently waited, or at least waited for some time after giving a knock on the door, waiting for the owner of the house to come in, to come out and open the door. They did not wait. That is police. The cops put their shoulders to the big heavy front glass door. by and by to try to learn such expressions, put their shoulders to the big heavy front glass door. See how many adjectives: big, heavy, front, glass. Door is the noun. Now how many describing things, quality? Glass door, front glass door, not back glass door. Heavy, it's not light front glass door, it's heavy front glass door, thick front glass door, and it is big rather. Okay, broke it in, that is broken, and broken means entered. It is a phrasal verb. Okay, put their shoulders to, put to, that is phrasal verb, and then broke in, that is entered, broke it in and managed to enter. Number 5, how did Grover's grandfather react when he saw the corpse and why? How did the grandfather react? What was his reaction? Attic, he is in the attic, the old pot is rolling, making some cracking sound, and after hearing the sound from the first floor, the cops, a couple of cops jumped to the attic, that's the open terrace, saw the cops. And why? The grandfather mistook the cops for the deserters from the army. The cops do not have anything to do with the army and all. His grandfather's misconception, okay, misconception, wrong idea. The grandfather mistook the cops for the deserters from their army, and they wanted to take, two is missing there, please add, and they wanted to take a hiding in his attic. So he got wild because he was too patriot. He could not digest the very idea of these people deserting the army, coming away. Therefore, he wanted to punish them and he wanted to send them back to the army. So he got wild. He gave a heavy smack, hit on the head of a cop. He went to that extent. Okay. He also grabbed his gun. First reaction, heavy reaction, is giving a smack on the head of a cop. He also grabbed his gun, just snatched his gun and shot at the cops. So this was the reaction of Grover's grandfather when he saw a couple of cops entering his room in the attic. Number 6, what is the suspense in the story? There is a suspense, and what is that suspense? The night the ghost got in, the grandfather came down to the dining room for water around 1 o'clock. His movement around the table was mistaken first for the burglars and next for the ghost. These are all possible answers I wrote in my own style, and I don't insist on copying my own style. You understand the theme, you pick up some words and structures, and you write in your own way, and slowly, gradually, you develop your own style. It's not a question of just memorizing, okay? Just to keep some of these captivating structures and expressions by, your own. Next question is on the next slide. Okay, that's all. Now on page number 39, there is a topic like writing a good speech. Now, there are 4 language skills, as you know. LSRW, I have already discussed this. LSRW, listening, L for listening, S for speaking, R for reading, W for writing. This L is the easiest skill, just listening, and then the most difficult skill is, advanced skill is writing. Writing is not an easy thing. Writing means, you need so many things, okay, as you all know. So LSRW, first you listen and then you try to speak, and then with the listening and speaking you try to LSR, so you listen to read, and then reading, finally followed by writing. Here you are going to write a good speech. How a good speech should be. How should a good speech be? There are certain hints given in the book, and I'll just read one by one and explain it. Have an inspiring opening and ending. Now, you understand the theme, understand the context now. You are going to write about speaking. You are going to write an essay or something about speaking. You are going to speak before some audience, some literary association, some science, okay, and some function in your school they are conducting, and you are invited to present a vote of thanks or invitation or certain small simple topics. You are going to, in an assembly, you are going to speak to the students for about 5 minutes or 10 minutes, for which actually you will have to prepare. You will sit and write. And how should you write, and what should be your preparations, and how will you arrange the sentences and all. First one, have an inspiring opening and ending. Okay, that opening, the first line should be very striking, very interesting. People will be just, will be thinking different things and differently motivated and all. So if you want to arrest all their attention to your speech, you just begin with an inspiring opening. Okay, inspiring opening, and also that ending also should be like that. Your speech may be anti-climax or climax. Okay, from nothing to everything can go, or from everything can end up with nothing. So that is tempo. The tempo should be maintained. Have an inspiring opening and ending. And then second one, appropriate tone of voice. The tone of voice now should be very appropriate, should be apt, and should be suitable to the situation, to the topic. Sincere for a serious issue like some disease, some death event, some like that. If the topics are like that, no, you have to be very sincere. You should be first of all motivated. Okay, and that the sincerity should be seen by the audience. Then only they will be serious and sincere. And if the topic is very light, humorous, then suppose your language may be humorous. Okay, therefore, since this is for example only. Number 3, adapt speech for purpose and audience. Adapt, change your speech for purpose and audience. Your words and sentences should be suitable for the purpose. If the purpose is very serious, accordingly you have to arrange your words and sentences. And audience also, your language. Suppose you are going to address children or teenagers or mixed audience, okay, 6 to 60, or a light group, highly motivated group, highly cultured group, you are going to address, or you are going to address a group of groundling, uneducated people. Suppose you are just, you have been taken to a rural area for a campaign to promote some concept, some social reformation like that. Then you will have to address uneducated audience. So what type of speech you will be giving? So according to the audience, you have to arrange your speech. Okay, that you have to take into consideration. The main purpose behind this is the audience, the people sitting in front of you, should understand what you mean to say and what you try to say. So that kind of communication should be there. That communication should be easy, means you should take into consideration all these things. Number 4, you organize your ideas logically. Okay, logically. It should not be haphazard. It should not be jumbled. Okay, and it should be, the first idea should lead to the second idea. Second idea should lead to the third idea, like that. Between first idea and second idea, and the second idea and third idea, there should be some kind of connection. Okay, that do not confuse the audience. The audience should not be confused. Okay, that is logical arrangement of your ideas and sentences. The good writing, actually, there is a test for good writing. That is first one. If you take a good writing, some 10 sentences are there, a paragraph, 10 sentences. If you take the 7th sentence out, without the knowledge of the readers, a good reader will identify something is missing. If you take out the third sentence from the paragraph of 10 sentences, a good reader will identify something is missing. Okay? Whether you take 2 sentences or 3 sentences or 30 sentences out of the essay, doesn't make any difference, means that is not a good paragraph. You are not writing it properly. So organize ideas logically and do not confuse the audience. And style, for style also there is a very good test, acid test for, style also. If some writer, a very prominent, very popular, very famous writer, a scholar, writes something, okay, and he dies before completing that essay or some discourse or something, he dies, means if the completion of story cannot be done by anybody. It is not an easy joke. It is not an easy thing to come and write and continue. So that is the full proof for good writing. Organize ideas logically and do not confuse the audience. And even while I am discussing this salient features of good writing, good speech, and good writing, you should just make it a point. I want to become a good writer, and I want to write properly. I want to write wonderfully, like that. That kind of idea should be there. Number 5, use emotive language to convince your audience that first of all you are interested in the theme. Okay, use emotive language. Use emotive, that is emotional, strong language to convince your audience. It's a kind of argument. Speech is a kind of argument, and wherein you succeed in your attempt in convincing the audience, in making the audience agree to your proposal or whatever point you put forth. They should understand and they should, join you. And for that, actually, first of all, you should be interested in the theme. The way in which you present the theme should show that you are really interested in the theme. You are really, first of all, you have belief in the theme. So there should not be any kind of detachment or difference between you and your theme. So number 6, use rhetorical questions for persuasive effect. This is, whether you take the ideas or not, see the wonderful language. Use rhetorical questions for persuasive effect. Okay, what is persuasive effect? You want to convince the people, convince the audience. You want to persuade them. Okay, you want to make them join you. You want to make them join you. Okay, and for that persuasive effect, use rhetorical questions. So many ways are there, using figures of speech, the hyperbole, metaphor, and simile, like that. Rhetorical questions, that is another way of making an impressive speech. What is rhetorical question? During the speech, asking a question like, was he not a good man? Suppose you are asking about Julius Caesar. Okay, Julius Caesar, Shakespearean character, historical figure, and you want to muster strength or support for Caesar, for example. Was he not a good man? Here, actually, what is the purpose of your asking question? You are not expecting actually answer for the question. Was he not a good man? Of course, he was a good man. You are seeking the support of your audience. Was he not a good man? Could he have committed the crime? Do you believe it? It is not the answer, yes, we believe, or no, he couldn't have committed the crime. These are all the answers to these questions known to the speaker as well as audience. But the kind of effective presentation of the idea. Was he not a good man? That means I believe that he was a very good man. Could he have committed the crime? Do you believe? That is the affirmative way of expressing this is, I don't believe that he could have committed the crime. By no means he could have committed the crime. He couldn't have committed the crime at all. That is the belief. That is like that. To make your speech more effective, use rhetorical questions like this here and there. Finally, Use interesting facts and figures supported by diagrams and charts. Visuals for quick and easy understanding. Okay, now and then. It need not be completely verbal. It need not be completely verbal. All words, sentences, paragraphs, and pages. Use interesting facts and figures. Facts and figures, that is a strenuous job to go in search of appropriate facts and figures supporting your argument. So that is, you have to do a lot of work, lot of homework, collecting facts and figures. You have to refer to so many reference books, not only your text, not only the notes, the other websites, suitable websites, other books on the same topic, like that. And you have to do a lot of work. Otherwise, the audience will not be interested in your speech. And particularly when you just address elite audience, educated audience, very good people like scholars, when you just present a paper before scholars and all, if the scholars, you expect their cooperation and kind of attention, then your speech should be like that, should be supported by facts and figures. You cannot simply say this, that, and all. Supported by diagrams, and also supported by diagrams and charts, that called visuals. There are two kind of presentation. One is verbal, the other one is visual. Verbal presentation is words. Visual presentation is pictures and graphs and diagrams, etc. So if your argument is supported by, your speech is supported by diagrams and charts, making use of slides and on the board like that, visuals for quick and easy understanding, particularly when you address uneducated people, charts and visuals will make them understand even without any explanation. But the more the visuals are there, the less your saying will be there. You need not explain, because all visuals are self-explanatory. Therefore, taking these points into consideration, try to write a good paragraph. Okay. And this is an assignment for you. We have taken, this is a 6th class, if I remember right. All of you should remember 6th class. That means at the end of 6th class, we are planning to give you an assignment that's given on 27/6 today, 2020 today. The assignment, very simple one, and it is not completely textual. To make it more interesting, I have taken some questions from outside the text. Very good grammar books, I told you, and you will find some kind of interest in writing this assignment. First question, parts of speech. Parts of speech, 8 parts of speech are there. You know what parts of speech are there. I don't want to repeat it. A word may have many forms such as noun, adjective, verb, adverb. Give the other forms of the following words. I have given you some words, some 10 words I have given. For these 10 words, give the other forms of the words. If I have given an adjective, you give adverb, you give noun. If it is there, if the word does not have other forms, okay, skip it. If there are available forms, just write. Use them in separate sentences. Okay, it is not only just giving, but you have to use the other forms of word in sentences, meaningful sentences. Look at the example. Look at the example below. For example, beauty is a word. Beauty is a noun. And what are the other forms of beauty? Beautiful is adjective form. Beautifully is the adverb form. So for beauty, the sentence is, the beauty of the hill station is a memory. Okay, the beauty of the hill station is a sweet memory, everlasting memory, like that. Now, beautiful, in this sentence, beauty cannot be replaced abruptly by beautiful. Okay, if you want to write beautiful, then you have to rewrite the sentence. Beautiful, for example, the flower is beautiful. The flower is beautiful. Beautifully, adverb. You have drawn beautifully. You have drawn beautifully. This is adverb. The flower is beautiful, adjective. And usually, Beautiful flower, we say. Smart boy, we say. Strong room, we say. Dining table, we say. That is adjective followed by noun. Here, see the position of adjective beautiful. That is end of the sentence. The flower noun is in the front and adjective beautiful is later. What is this arrangement? The flower is beautiful. Okay. The flower is beautiful means here it is complement. The flower, yes, is, we, beautiful, complement. Complement, without beautiful, the sentence will be incomplete. That is the meaning of complement. So the flower is beautiful. Beautiful adjective is used predicatively. That is old grammar. The flower is beautiful. Similarly, you write now the words for your assignment. Clever, very simple words. Clever, wise, deep, cruel, desperate, taken from your first lesson. Strong, G, wonderful, H, curious, I, care, J, joy. These 10 words, you take these 10 words, you find out the other forms. If possible, you make a sentence, the same idea should be used by using different forms. Okay. Here the flower is beautiful, you have drawn beautifully, it's different sentences, but try to write the sentence, the words. For example, clever, cleverness, cleverly. The same idea written in different ways using the different forms. Okay. I leave it to you. If I just confuse, I have confused you. I leave it to you. You write as you like. Second question. Write a descriptive or explanatory paragraph in about 100 words for one of the following topics. Okay. Write a descriptive or explanatory paragraph in about 100 words for one of the following topics. First topic. Yesterday I met an old man. So that should be the beginning of your paragraph. Yesterday I met an old man. What happened to him? How was he? How did he look? And what kind of questions you asked? What questions he asked you? And what happened? Did he play an important role? And what all the things that followed? So a kind of imagination is there, and at the same time your language should be there, and your selection of words, sentences, etc. And I gave you about writing some clues for good writing. You make it a point to keep all the points in your mind and try to follow those clues and hints, and accordingly you write your wonderful sentences here. Make it a paragraph. Need not exceed 100 words. 100 words means in A4 sheet maybe 3/4 of a page. 3/4 of a page. That is 100 words. And then second topic. What a lot of patience nurses must have. That is the beginning of the paragraph. Okay. What a lot of patience nurses must have. Suppose all the sentences that follow this sentence, this topic sentence, should support this idea about the patience maintained by the nurses, the great good service, social service rendered by nurses. You have to explain. Third one. A week from now, I shall be on holiday for a month. So, actually, 1 month is there, and hectic day, last day is over. A week from now, one week, after 1 week, we are going to be let off for another month. What is your imagination? What is your dream? How are you going to spend those days? Where are you going? What kind of arrangements you are going to make? Going to change the place, or in your own place you are having so many programs? I leave it to you. So just on one of the following topics you write. Just enjoy and write. Don't write for assignment. Okay. And then third question, explain the following situations in 1 or 2 sentences. Okay. These are all proverbs, English proverbs. One swallow does not make a summer. Okay. Tani maram topu agadu. One swallow does not make a summer. B, never look a gift horse in the mouth. Never look a gift horse in the mouth. These are all, I told you, rhetoric questions will beautify your essay or paragraph. Like that, when you use such idiomatic expressions and proverbs and sayings and quotable quotes, your paragraph or essay will be enriched, will be beautiful, will have value. But it should be relevant. Never look a gift horse in the mouth. What is the meaning? Never look, you cannot just look for a gift horse in the mouth. Nobody will come and just put a gift horse in your mouth. You have to work for it. Okay? For hard work. Never look the gift horse in the mouth. And then third one, actions speak louder than words. Here a comparison between actions and words. Which is more powerful? Actions. Actions speak louder than words. Words means words. That is empty words. Empty words will not make you popular or in very famous, prosperous. Only actions. Actions are more important than words. So anyone in one or two sentences, explain. Kind of explain. Explain all the three proverbs in your own sentence. Okay. Now again, arranging words. Some 24 words, 4 groups of 6 each, 24 words. And you have to arrange these 24 words into groups. First 3 groups will have related words, and you leave unrelated words for the 4th section, 4th group. So ladder, congregation, league, tunnel, flight, bridge, eyewitness, rung, porthole, ornament, sightseers, landing, barristers, audience, retreat, cabin, hold, spectators, grip, funnel, chairs, onlookers, deck, boycott. Okay, these words are to be arranged into 4 groups. First 3 groups will have related words, and 4th one unrelated words. If this will enrich your vocabulary, you may not know the meaning for like porthole or it is not barrister, it is banister. Sorry, you just change it actually. Spelling is BANISTERS. It is not barristers, it is banisters. BANISTERS, banisters. Banisters you may not know, and then all other things you must be. A rung also you may not know. Rung, porthole you may not know. Okay. Next question. Assignment. This is number 5. Rewrite the sentences using the passive form of the verb in italics. Okay. They gave up the search after 3 hours. Someone should look into the matter. No one brought up that question at the meeting. We had to put off our visit until later. You must account for every penny you spend. Don't speak until someone speaks to you. An official held us up at the customs for half an hour. How can we bring about the desired result? His bank manager turned down his request for a loan. All under red letter words. First one is one italicized, but the other one I forgot to italicize. But red mark is there. All are verbs. Okay. Prepositional verb. Okay. Gave up, looked into, brought up, of, for, to. So this gave up means it has got a special meaning. Look into, special meaning. Brought up is special meaning. Put off as a meaning which doesn't have anything to do with the put. So according to refer to the dictionary, if you refer to the dictionary for put, you will understand the word for put off phrase will be there. Okay. And you have to change. They gave up the search after 3 hours. After 3 hours, for example, the first one I will do it for you. After 3 hours, the search was given up by them. Okay, they gave up the search. SVO. The search after 3 hours, the search was given up by them. Like that, you have to change from active to passive. Thank you. Just take some break for 15 minutes, and then we'll meet during the second session, second half.